This is All of It. I'm Allison Stewart, live from the WNYC studios in Soho. Thank you for sharing part of your day with us. I'm really grateful that you're here. On today's show, artist Julie Meritou joins us to preview her new exhibition, which opens next week at the Marion Goodman Gallery. And we'll talk about the people who actively shun popular culture with Atlantic writer Anna Holmes. That's coming up. Now let's head to Broadway and Dog Day Afternoon. Right now at the August Wilson Theater, the Broadway stage has been transformed into a 1970s bank on a sweltering summer day in Brooklyn. What seems like an ordinary shift changes when bank robbers walk through the doors. This is Dog Day Afternoon. The stage version of the 1975 Sidney Lumet film stars Emmy-winning actor Jon Bernthal as Sonny. He's a Vietnam vet who has hatched a plan to rob a bank for very personal reasons. Sonny has brought his friend Sal along with him. Sonny can be reasoned with, Sal not so much. Sonny's master plan goes south fast. One bank teller, a woman named Colleen, tries to wrest back some of the control of the situation. She's played by Tony Award nominee Jessica Hecht. Colleen quickly develops a rapport with Sonny as she tries to make sure the rest of the employees get home safely and maybe even get Sonny what he wants. But after shots are fired, it becomes more difficult for Sonny and Sal to see their way out. Dog Day Afternoon is running now, and I'm joined now by actors Jon Bernthal. It is nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you, too. Thanks for having me.
And welcoming back to the show, Jessica Hecht. Hi, Jessica.
Thank you for having me.
So Dog Day Afternoon is based on a real story that was turned into a film. When you first saw the film, what did it leave for you? And what did it leave for you as an actor?
Oh, wow. For me, I mean, look, indelible, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think for so many, so much of this, so much panic and so much spiraling and reeling. But I think at its core, it really is a love story, and it really is about the lengths that we'll go to for love. I really think that at the kernel of this play, I think that's really what it is. I don't think that this is just a sort of representation of the movie. It's a real story about real people, and I think it's very paramount and very much our jobs to honor those people and honor that love.
What did you think about the film when you first saw it as a viewer and then as an actor?
Well, when I first saw it, I think I was quite young, so I reflected on it probably just based on the on the stuff that was polarizing and scary and sort of reactive. When you see things before you're an actor, you have a whole different viewership. But when I watched it actually several years ago, I remarked on that was a moment of character actor sort of a kind of abandon of these actors who were probably known quite a bit for stage as well, and they were able to make these parts iconic because of the detail. So when I look back and I see Penny Allen, the great actress who played the head teller in the film, and Marsha Jean Kurtz and Carol Kane, my friend Carol Kane, the nuance of what they could do with those parts and the freedom that he allowed was really inspirational. And I think that's what we've tried to infuse the play with a little bit as well.
It seemed like it was so alive.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The film. Oh, I thought. Obviously, I thought the film
and the play
was
as well.
Alive.
We're going to talk about that as well. Don't worry.
But yes, the film was genuinely alive in iconic 1970s. I mean, you think about all those films, Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, they're like just totally, free.
Jon, you're a trained actor, a theater actor, but it's your first time on Broadway.
Oh yeah.
What's different about Broadway?
Oh man, I think I think for the theater in itself, I really believe that the theater, not to be too grandiose about it, but it really did save my life. Moving to Russia as a young man and training over there, I was really shrouded in a culture where theater is vital, and where the ability to have a public gathering is so sacred, because that's not something that everybody can do, and it's not something, especially it was palpable in the time that I was in Russia, that was not just a right. It was something that was enormously sacred, enormously rare, and something that people had to fight for. And all my teachers kind of came from that world. I love that there's nowhere to hide. I love how dangerous it is. I love the communication with the audience. I love that we can really hold a mirror to society. I love that in this piece specifically, we get to really kind of talk about how far we've traveled since 1972, and also the fact that maybe we haven't moved even a bit, and there's been no distance, and how harrowing that is. But I'm so thrilled to be here. I'm so thrilled every night that I get the shot.
This is your 12th Broadway show. Is that true, Jessica?
I think, yeah, or and maybe almost my 13th. Yeah.
That's amazing when you think about that. What does a part need to have for you to get excited about it?
Oh, gosh, that's such a gift of a question. It has to have language that I think I can figure out and have an experience with. I think the truth of acting for me has to do with the way people talk, and I was so gifted to do several of Arthur Miller's plays, which are on the one side of the spectrum, where he's trying to approximate real people, the way they really speak in these subcultures, and then I'm so grateful to have something written by Stephen or something written by Sarah Rule, where the language is a kind of poetry, and I can figure that out and find a real person who speaks that way.
My guests are actor John Bernthal and Jessica Hecht, who are in the new Broadway show Dog Day Afternoon, based on the 1975 film about a Brooklyn bank robbery gone wrong. It's running now at the August Wilson Theater. Okay, Jessica, imagine what Colleen's day was like before the bank robbers showed up. What is it like?
Well, she fed her bird and her cat.
Okay.
Those are her two creatures she takes care of. And she had a very long day of catering to customers that she has history with. And she was hit on by a few of the gentlemen who come in. And she just thinks it's like 5 minutes to go before she can get out of there and take care of her animals. And it's a very detail oriented job. And she's very customer friendly and very serious about the fact that most of the women that work there are capable of doing much more than work at a bank, and she's a little bit frustrated with the limitations of her job.
What's going through Sonny's mind before the show starts, before we see him?
Oh boy, I would also like to say in Sonny's mind, robbing a bank is also a very detail-oriented job, and unfortunately he's surrounded himself and found partners who don't share that same sort of unbelievable attention to detail. I think at the core of the piece, again, it's a love story. So I think what's going on with him is doing this for Leon. I think he realized he's made just an unbelievably grave and awful mistake in not seeing and fighting for the love of his life and for the love of his life to be exactly who they are and to be who they are and let them walk in the shoes that they want to walk on on this planet. And he's reeling from that. He's heartbroken, and I believe that love can cause the most grandest of gestures, and I think that's what this is. So I think he's sort of singularly focused, but there is history of him working in a bank as well, and I think he sort of feels like he's got this all tied up and that he knows exactly how this is going to go, and then it's just a comedy of errors after that.
Jessica, the relationship between Sonny and Colleen is kind of tricky. Yeah. What does Colleen see in Sonny?
She finds him to be quite cavalier, and there's aspects of his charm that seem kind of old school to her, and a desire to do this without too much stress. And so I think she fantasizes that he is somehow like a Robin Hood in his best moments, and maybe a potential drinking partner. So she gets frustrated that he reveals himself to not be as fine sort of a planner as she hoped, and she really feels that she says at the end, but you're not selfish. You're actually doing this for love, and you're letting your emotional state control you. And I think she prides herself on having self-control, and that is like his flaw, that she gets through a lot of crap in her life without breaking down. And I think that she really sees somebody who's heroic in that way until the sort of end of the play, when he can't meet that expectation.
What does Sunny see in Colleen?
Oh boy, her strength, her sturdiness, her unbelievable ability to not be carried away with emotion, her bravery. She's so solid, and it's such a joy for this whole process. To work with Jessica. I just can't tell you. She's just been such a lighthouse, such a pillar to sort of look at the just in terms of her talent and her grace and her wisdom. And there's a lot of the actor too. I think it's equal parts an unbelievable person, unbelievable performer. But I think Colleen is everything that Sunny isn't, that she knows how to regulate her emotions and maybe even to a fault. Maybe he just wants to break that up just a little bit and get her to feel just a little bit, and maybe he can get a little bit of a win there.
Sunny's a veteran. How do you think that factors into his character?
Look, I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of this piece that explores masculinity, and I think as a father of sons, that's something I'm very, very interested in exploring. I really try to do that with all my work of different kinds of men and what it means to be a man. One of the real joys for me in this piece is to have my sons, to have all my kids, but my sons especially, to see this sort of brand of love, and that a man can be a soldier, and that a man can be a loyal friend, and that a man can act from his heart and act with passion, and a man can have any kind of love under the sun, and that it doesn't define us, and it doesn't define character, and that love is love. And it was a real joy for me to be able to bring my sons to this piece.
My guests are John Bernthal and Jessica Hecht, who are now in the Broadway play Dog Day Afternoon. It's running at the August Wilson Theater. I want to talk about the set. The set is dynamic. It's by David Correns, who's done like 20 shows, including Hamilton and Dear Evan Hansen. And the set, it sort of rotates. On one side is the bank, and then it rotates, and you go to the outside area. How does the set help you get into character and help tell this story? We'll start with you, Jessica.
Oh, it helps. It's meticulously designed, and so you're in a space that really. So I was 7 when 1972 when this would have. So it brings me back to going to the bank with my mom, and the specifics in the detail. It's unparalleled the way David works. So you're immersed in this, and then as it moves, you really feel this kind of transformative power that you can be in this space and be completely true to what your character would do. And then there's this theatricality that the set literally lifts you into, and you will suddenly be transformed to another place. It also makes the other characters look incredibly cool and sexy as they swagger around. There's a moment when John walks from one space to the other. I won't tell you the moment, but where you are watching somebody kind of take over a situation, and that is all under the kind of the foundation of these rooms that David has provided for us. It's kind of it's pretty exhilarating. Cool. It's like a ride. Yeah. You have to use your core a lot, I must say. It's a big, cool, lot of moving. Yeah.
Really? Are you serious?
Yeah. At one point, our director was like, Jessica, just tighten your core when it moves. And I was like, oh God, I'm like showing myself as this and he goes, no, it's not that you're slumping. It's that I don't want your body to move so much as this.
Oh, that's so interesting.
It throws you for a
ride.
It
throws
you.
It never looks. John never looks like he's being thrown for a ride, but to me, I look like I'm about to be.
Is there any period of the 70s, the costumes, the writing, the music that really gets to you, John, that puts you in the mood?
Oh, I think all of it. I mean,
Yeah.
once the music, there's so much great. There's just, I just feel like it was this like apex of culture, you know, with the movies, with the music, with the clothes. The clothes are so detailed and so beautiful and so wild and so expressive. You know, so much. I mean, as soon as that music kind of pops on from the beginning, you know, we're right there. And I think what's even more interesting for me, because the film is so iconic and the story is so much a part of all of our sort of upbringings and our hearts and our souls, is that, you know, when we do actually go and bring the audience in, and there is this, you know, really, really just fun scene, you know, with Jessica and I and the audience, and involving the audience, and you get to look out at the audience, and the lights come out, and the lights come up. And the audience is really given permission to respond and become a part of the show and become the crowd. Again, a testament to the genius of the set. But it's all so inclusive, and you can see the joy of everybody else coming into the 70s.
Yeah.
And it's really real. It really happens in this piece. You can see these folks light up.
Well, we're talking about the Attica.
Yes, that's
theme,
what we're
right?
talking about.
Everybody knows what
Yeah,
we're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
So we
yeah.
come on the stage, and the fourth wall breaks a little bit. Because
Absolutely.
Attica starts, and I was like, "Am I supposed to chant this now?" I wasn't quite sure if I was supposed to. People got around me, started chanting, so I was like, "I'll do it too." I wonder, what is that moment like for you?
You go.
It's why you do plays. It's why you do plays. First of all, John sets it up magnificently, because it goes from being this kind of street piece, what we're trying to kind of have this insular dialogue, and then it goes into classical theater, where he's speaking to the audience about ideas and about who we are as people and what we should be doing with our lives. And I'm totally carried away as a character, but also as an actor, listening to him. And then you get, you kind of get high off the fact that you're in an auditorium. Like, you just experience what theater was built on, and the idea that there could be call and response within a piece that was previously, you know, that wasn't available to you, and that somebody who's sitting there, some very bright, cultured person, is suddenly screaming Attica. Is like just an awesome accomplishment. John and I always kind of rate the audience when we leave based on their
Such
Attica.
a giddy moment of joy.
We
right
act like
afterwards.
children. We're like, we did it. Yeah.
And I also think right at that moment, too, with all that going on and this just sort of invitation that's accepted night after night of the audience to get so involved and to become so childlike, and yes, to really, really discuss in a Trojan horse, but what I think develops into a really cogent way of, again, showing how far we've come. But these are the same issues that are plaguing us, and you can see that realization in the sort of face and in the souls of the audience. But it's also kind of the moment in the play where Colleen and Sonny really become kind of joined, and that's because it's also really about these two people, and we do it together, and she's so into it, and she's the one that really gets the audience on board, and she's the one that says Attica, and it's just it's got this beautiful both it treats the sort of source material with such sacredness, but at the same time there's an irreverence and an originality to it that I just I so love, and we have so much fun doing it, and the audience, it's a really fun part of the show.
We're talking about Dog Day Afternoon. We'll have more after a quick break. This is all of it. You're listening to All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. My guests are actors John Bernthal and Jessica Hecht, who are now in the new Broadway play Dog Day Afternoon. We should say that Sonny's partner Sal is played by Evan Moss-Bachrach. You guys are friends. How did you end up in the play together?
Oh gosh, yeah, we've worked together. You know, my first gig ever was understudying him in an off-Broadway play in 2002, Lanford Wilson's The 5th of July. And you know, we really it was such a joy for me as a young actor. I was the understudy for all the male roles, and just to go every night and to be able to sit in the audience and not have to pay for a ticket and just to watch, I was filled with such joy. And Eben just struck me as such a dynamic and interesting performer. He always works on the off rhythms. He always approaches things from this, you know, totally unique and slanted take. And then, you know, from there we worked together in various TV projects. We did a film together. We just wrote something together and it made it. It's going to come out soon.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, and I love him. I love his family. And since we were working together so much, he knew, he was just, kept really sort of up to date with how this was. And he just started asking me about it. And of course, it was just such a thrill for him to sign on. And he's just a guy I trust him so much. And again, like Jessica, equal parts insanely incredible artist and beautiful human being. And those are the folks I want to go into battle with.
Jessica, Sal has sort of a more dangerous energy than Sonny does.
Yeah.
He also really, really does not want to go back to prison.
Yeah.
How does Colleen grapple with the fact that Sonny can be reasoned with, can be talked with, while Sal is a little more of an uneven character?
Oh, it's such a good question because, you think that somebody can be a hero in many situations, but the actual ability to deal with somebody who potentially is mentally ill is very is terrifying. And I think she tests him a lot throughout the play until he has one moment where he proves himself to be truly unstable, and that's when she really gets scared. But she wants him to be accountable as well. She's very religious, so I think she prays a lot that he won't. But I think that she has been around people who are unstable her whole life. It's so funny, the backstories that we all engage in to kind of figure out the justification for our dynamics with people. But I know I've been quite well not as well as John, but I did The Three Sisters with him many years ago with Maggie Gyllenhaal and her husband Peter, and it was and Eben has a kind of truth as an artist in terms of allowing language also to speak about what's going on inside of him, and you feel that when he says he's one step away from killing himself. And I think that's what it keeps Colleen in relation to him for the rest of the play. Yeah.
John, we don't know that much about the backstory between Sonny and Sal. What conversations did you and Evan have about their relationship before that day?
So many. I mean, look, these are real people, and I think more than anyone, I think that's something Eben just keeps trying to drive home. Let's represent these people. Let's honor these people. It's a really good question. There was also a book that I read that's pretty pulpy, the Dog Day Afternoon book, that is not necessarily truer to life than the film, but it's another take, and it was informative. It's interesting because I think when you talk about friendship and you talk about good friends, as Eben and I are, we really are brothers. There is a level here of manipulation, and there is a level here of betrayal, and these things really are being explored. Sal provides a certain service. Sonny is very much using Sal, and he does have this ability to sort of say what he wants. And it's a question that comes up, is if you're really acting out of the goodness of your heart, if you're really acting and fighting and striving and yearning for love, does that make it okay to manipulate somebody and bring them into something that's dangerous for them and calling on sort of their worst and most hardened characteristics? I do believe that there is this life that I imagine and that I've read about and I'm so interested in about, the West Village in the 1970s, in the late 60s and the 1970s, and such a rich history of people really finding themselves for the first time, to go to a place where they can really be their true self, and the unbelievable freedom of that. And I do believe that that's the world in which Sonny and Sal really knew each other and bonded. And coming from the world that Sonny comes from, which is a much more regulated, so many eyes on you, you behave a certain way, a man is supposed to be one way, a woman's supposed to be another, so archaic. And and I do believe that in the sort of burst and beauty and bliss of the freedom that they shared in the 70s, that's really where that relationship was forged. But it doesn't necessarily make it any less of a betrayal or any less manipulative, even if you have an ability to really speak from your heart and get people to do what they think is the right thing to do.
For those who know the story, part of it is rooted in gender and sexuality. Sure. There are issues at the forefront of politics today. There's a trans character who is central to this story. And the way we've think about and what we've learned about mass incarceration and gender roles, you think in 2026, what do you think a production of Dog Day Afternoon, why does it make sense in 2026?
Oh, it makes complete sense, apart from the obvious, which is that we sadly have not moved forward as much as any historian would have hoped. I think that the idea of the story of abandon and the story of what one might do for a political or social for political or social impact has not changed, both from the violent things we see on our streets to the kind of compassion people are expressing towards one another out of desperation. So, and also this actual play is just full of a kind of ritualized abandon that we go through as a cast, and the music and the way in which we say we are ready to break through something. We are ready, and we need to have empathy for people. I think the play is infused with that messaging.
What do you think, John?
I totally agree. I think it's so much about the haves and the have-nots, about the forgotten. I think Stephen is sort of singular in his ability to write about the kind of forgotten and overlooked New York. Again, we've traveled so far and we haven't gone anywhere. I think there are so many things that both bring up. There's a section in the play where John Ortiz's character, the detective, talks about that they're right on the cusp of fingerprint identification in terms of law enforcement. And that seems, now we have cameras everywhere. We can catch criminals. That seems so archaic. Yet we are dealing with the same things with armed people on the streets, taking shots at people, with people not being able to live their true selves, without people being able to love who they want to love, without prejudice, without discrimination, without brutality. We're right there. And but I also just think that this idea of the good guy versus the bad guy, the haves and the have-nots, being forgotten, saying, hey, today I'm making a stand, today I'm going to be heard. I think that is so much at the core of his writing. I think it's so much at the core of this specific cast and this specific production. We are out there with, holding our fists high, and we are going for it every single night. And that's really what's at the core. We're going out there with a bit of a chip on our shoulder.
There are a lot of adjustments that are made to the script throughout the whole process of the film, and some internal disagreements about what changes should be made. How do you work through those changes when you're putting up a show?
Oh, you cling so tightly to your scene partners. I think that's the essential thing. There's something extremely unique about the way John works, because he's spent so much time recently on film, but to be really fluid on stage requires tremendous skill and a kind of lack of ego, and I think that to be really in collaboration with changes, you have to be in collaboration actually with your scene partner, not as much as with the writer, as much as what can you say to one another. And John figured that out with every single person who had changes, and I will say also that you rely on your director. We had an extraordinary director in Rupert Gould who told us what to be mindful of, and not to worry about the picayune line, whether we got it right, but to worry about the picture, the show. He's an incredible craftsperson, Rupert, and I think that we owe him such a debt of gratitude for his service, his craft, his old school craft.
We've realized, I've seen the movie a million times, and I know what's going to happen at the end, but there are audiences who don't know what the end is, right? Right?
Absolutely.
Which is interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Did you think about that as the creative team, about there are people coming in who don't know the end?
I think we really want this piece to stand on its own. That's for sure, and we want it to, we want it to be its own thing. That's for sure, and I think it had to be, based on just Stephen's take and Stephen's writing and Stephen's sort of brand, for lack of a better word. But what hits me every single night, you can hear a palpable gasp in the audience when Sonny says he's a homosexual. And at first, well, you guys don't know what this, but it's also, I find that so unbelievably refreshing, because what we're also seeing night after night is it's folks who have never been to theater before. We are bringing in so many people who have never done this before, and that is such a thrill for me as somebody who didn't grow up going to the theater, but as just I'm completely in love with it, and I'm completely in reverence of its power and its necessity. And so the fact that folks are coming in night after night to see something that they don't know what they can expect, and they're walking away so happy, it's a real joy. It's a real thrill for us.
Jessica, what does this play capture about New York and New Yorkers?
That we really care about each other, that we would go, we would fall on a sword. It just captures like the whole subway mentality. I know I'm not supposed to swear, but just don't mess with this car of people.
Yeah.
And that's what it tells everybody. And I love that we have people coming in who are New Yorkers and look at it and you're like, this is what we're made of, man.
That's right. That's right.
John, what do you hope audiences leave the theater talking or just thinking about?
Oh, I love the way that audiences are leaving the theater. I think, again, to in not a spoon-fed way or a preachy way, but to get us to really look at where exactly we are right now. I think for me, again, what's fundamental for me specifically about Sonny, and I think with everything that's happened in this process, for me, Sonny is a man who is up against it. He's a man who has been told to sit in the corner and shut up, and he's not going to do it anymore. And he's going to fight for this love, this beautiful love that might not look like love to somebody else, but you better believe it is love. And I love that audience is at the end of this piece, and at the kernel of this piece is about community. It's about love. It's about coming together to fight. And in this unbelievable crisis is a beautiful opportunity.
The name of the play is Dog Day Afternoon. It's at the August Wilson Theater. John Bernthal and Jessica Hecht, thank you so much for coming in.
I just adore your show, and I'm so sorry to be so fangirly, but thank you for doing what you do for New York City.
I've definitely been saying that for many years now. I can attest. Thank you so much for having us.
And take good care.